what we want to do is create content that people are actually going to watch. That's it. Because if you're going to make something, then it has to be something that people are going to want to watch. End of story. And you guys, if you're making something, what, 90 seconds? 5 minutes? 90 seconds?
90 seconds.
Bloody hell. That's hard. That's hard. Somehow, you've got to get, and there's a brilliant kind of process in filmmaking that you have to get your whole film across in 5 sentences. 25 words basically. So how do you do that? You know, you've got to tell a story in that time. You've got to have a beginning, a middle and an end. It's a 3-act structure. Right? So what is it? What is the beginning of your story? Yeah? What do you want people to know about you? Yeah? Then you've got to have the middle. And the middle can't be too long. Yeah? But you've got to have those obstacles in the way. So for example, you've got your protagonist, you've got your main character whose journey we're following throughout the story, right? You've then got to have your antagonist, who or what is working against it. So to translate that, I guess there's you on this journey, yeah? There's a problem, there's a gap that you're trying to fill. What is that gap? How are you going to do it? And what's the benefit to the wider public? That's your 3-act structure. Yeah? So the middle bit has to be the heart of it, is how are you going to get there? We are going to do it by doing this. The result will be this. Yeah? It's no different. I'm telling you something now that we do in 90 minutes. Yeah? And I'll give you an example, right? It's a children's film called Finding Nemo. We've all seen Finding Nemo, right? It's one of my favourite films for structure, right? Who is the protagonist? Who is the main character whose journey we follow?
Nemo.
Nemo.
Nemo's dad.
Who's finding Nemo?
His father.
His father. So it's his journey,
Yeah.
right? It's his journey. You know, we could argue this. I'm not right and I'm not wrong. I don't particularly care. I'm a fish.
You won't remember in 60 seconds.
No, it's like Dory. Yeah. So you've got your protagonist, right? Now then, that protagonist has a super objective, right? And it's a Stanislavski term that the Russian director came up with this term. And the super objective is where does your protagonist want to end up? You have to have the same in your business. Where do you want to end up? Right? And you can't lie about that to anyone because you're only fooling yourself. Right? Now I wanted to be a filmmaker, I wanted to be this international kind of producer. Right? So I was fooling myself back then. And it's the same for your stories. You've got your protagonist, you've got to know where you want to be. But for that to happen, in stories, when you're structuring your story, you've got something called the inciting incident. Right? And it happens about a third into the story. So if you were looking at, sorry, not a third, it's earlier than that. If you're looking at a 90-minute film, then the 10 minutes is something called the inciting incident, or the catalyst. And it's the main event that sends your protagonist on his or her journey. I just realised I look quite good doing the animation bit of this. I'm going to do more of it now.
That will be on the next.
This look particularly good.
That will be on the next version.
Yeah. Or 2. So you've got the protagonist and you've got your catalyst, right? Or inciting incident. So something happens to the protagonist early on in your story that gives birth to the super objective. So if we go back to our Finding Nemo example, what happens to Nemo's father that propels him on that journey? What happens?
Nemo disappears.
Yeah.
Nemo gets fishnapped.
Yeah.
Yeah? So the journey is born out of that incident. It's the one incident that defines... Right, so out of that then, what does Nemo's father want?
Get his son back.
What's the name of what's the title of the film?
Fighting him.
He wants to find Nemo. Right? So in a short time now, and I used to have a nightmare, right? Because I hated school, and when the teacher used to ask me, well, what's the story about that? I don't know, it's about this guy who's going off over there. No, go and read it again. Oh, shit! Another hour of reading pictures, because I hated reading the words. But actually, this is a great way of doing it. It's taken me 10 years, right, to break down very simply how to understand the story. Yeah? You've got your main characters who are obsessed. Your protagonist is the one that's obsessed. In every film, you can have multiple protagonists as well. But usually there's one. Something happens to that protagonist that makes him or her want to fix it. Or get there, the journey. And then the second act then is about the obstacles that get in the way. Yeah? Right, that's the point where we start learning about the exposition, which is the backstory, which is how we learn about you as individuals. Yeah? What is it why is this person doing this? Are they scared? Why are they scared? What kind of people are they? So what you need to do, and it's no different, right, in your 90-second presentation, you've got to have your beginning, your middle and an end, right? And that's the key to it. So, who is the protagonist? Who is the story about? What's your business idea? Well, why is it there? What gap are you filling? And then how do you intend to do that? Yeah? That's basically story structure in like a 10-minute nutshell. Yeah? It's not easy. Like, it's taken me, a long time to kind of conceptualize that. And we do a lot of workshops with young people, and that's how we get them to talk about and understand stories as well. And you can apply that logic to quite a lot of films.